That's all that matters, right? That's why your mother named you Charlie. Welcome to the Select Board meeting, Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. Please join the board in the pledge to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there anyone wishing to speak on the public comment? So we're going to move on to the first public hearing, an alteration of premises for Dillon's Pub Incorporated, doing business as Dillon's Local, 21 South Park Ave, Colin Dillon, manager. In accordance with Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws as amended, notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held at Plymouth Town Hall, 26 Court Street on Tuesday, June 13, 2023, at 6:01 p.m. to consider the application for an alteration of premises for Dillon's Pub Incorporated, doing business as Dillon's Local, 21 South Park Ave, holder of annual alcohol restaurant license. Colin Dillon, manager. Description of the premises is as follows: dining area, kitchen area, office and storage space. Applicant seeks to remove outside deck area, one men's restroom and one woman's restroom. Two entrances, one in the front, one on the side. Applicant seeks to add and close back porch area. Is there anyone from Dillon's Local here that would like to speak, or is anyone on waiting up to come on?
Through the chair, if anybody through Zoom would like to participate, please press the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen if you are via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, I'm going to close this down and bring it back to the board for a motion.
I got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Is this,
What
is this in the future, or is this what he's done? I know there've been some renovations there. Do we know that?
This is a new proposal.
It must be an expansion if you look at the, haven't been in a while. The last time I was there was for the parade, but
So there's no issues with the building department, everything's gone through?
I mean, I could certainly verify with the building commissioner, but typically this does not get in front of the select board without all fire and inspection services sign on.
So if I got that far, good. Well, I have no problem, he's a good operator, and it's good to see him expanding. So I have no problem with this.
have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Blutzer. All those in favor? Mr. Blutzer?
Aye.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And one abstention myself. In accordance with, well, okay, let's just check that off. It's another alteration of premises, and this is for the Cabbie Shack. In accordance with Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws as amended, notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held at Plymouth Town Hall, 26 Court Street on Tuesday, June 13th, 2023, at 6:02 p.m. to consider the application for an alteration of premises from Cabbie Shack Incorporated, doing business as Cabbie Shack Town Wharf, holder of annual all-alcohol restaurant license. Clyde A. Breeny as manager. Description of the premises is as follows: single-story wood frame building fronting on Town Wharf Road, 2 side entrances, 4 rear entrances, outdoor deck, eating and patio area, adjoining existing licensed premises on the east side of the property. Open-air roof deck with, will be used for service of food and beverages. Applicant seeks to add additional outdoor seating in the cordoned-off parking lot. Basically, he wants to add the seating in the parking area of, like he did during COVID. There's a tent there, and I did do a walk about the site on Sunday, just to be a little familiar with it, and so that's what I saw. Is there anyone here on Cabbage-Shack's behalf? Would you like to say a few words, or?
If you need me to,
Okay, so,
I'm here if you want to ask questions.
all right. So it's pretty vanilla, that's what he wants to do, so. He also is in the executive session later on for lease,
I can speak to.
so. Mr. Blitzer?
Yeah, I also went down and we toured the premises, and what he's doing, he's trying to beautify that area. He's been doing it for the last few years, but before he spends money, he wants to get, the okay. He went to the zoning, the planning and zoning both approved it, and he had to pay into the parking fund, which he did. And it's gonna look a lot better than it looked last year, but he's got plans to really spruce it up if we give him the okay, and I'd like to see that down there, and he's smart, until he gets the okay, it's tough to spend a lot of money down there if it's not gonna be a permanent thing, so. Again, I believe he's a good operator, he's good for the waterfront, and so I like what I saw, Sunday, I like what I saw, so I'm all for this, just like Dylan's, I'm for this proposal.
Any questions from board members or comments from anyone else?
Well,
John?
so this proposal here, this public hearing in the executive session, they're intertwined, correct?
They will be, yeah, so if we do, one of the members makes the motion, I'm hoping that it's contingent upon the lease agreement.
Sure, yes, absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
So I can make, if anybody doesn't have a comment, I can make that motion right now that we okay this. And I know the season has started, so I know I know they want to get this thing wrapped up so they can start operating, because, it's starting to get real busy down there. So I'll make the motion that we approve this outside, and then contingent on with the lease extension, or whatever we're going to do with the lease
With
and
the
executive
approval.
session. So,
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Blitzer, second by Mr. Helm. Discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
yes,
Myself, yes, unanimous. And for the record, I do not sell Cabbage-Shack vegetables. Thank you. Okay.
thank you for coming.
All right. Moving on to the next public hearing. It's a pouring permit, Dirty Water Distillery. In accordance with Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws as amended, notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held at Plymouth Town Hall, 26 Court Street on Tuesday, June 13th, 2023 at 6:03 p.m. to consider the application for an alteration of premises for a 19H pouring permit for Dirty Water Distillery LLC, 49 Cottage Park Circle, Bay 2, holder of a Farmer Distillery pouring permit, Petrus Azonis Jr., PhD manager. Description of premises is as follows: single level, 4,500 square foot, light manufacturing space, approximately 3,000 square feet set aside and separated for production, and 1,500 square feet public access, tasting room, restrooms, access, etc. Update sprinkler system 2023 with masonry firewalls separating adjacent tenants. 2 entrances and exits. Applicant seeks to add 19H pouring permit to allow combined use of Dirty Water Distillery tap room to be used to serve beer brewed by the Dirty Water Distillery, doing business as the Ama Nama in addition to serving their distilled goods. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but I believe this is our first permit where it's an actual distillery and a place where you can consume, correct? And, or was it the States?
Well, I know this distillery was the one on Water Street.
Water Street?
Right, and now they're moving to
Okay.
Cottage. I thought you could consume on Water Street, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Want to come up?
Yeah, you want to come up and
please?
say something, or you want to just?
No,
No, you can't.
You're not allowed to. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we were on Water Street for a little more.
You gotta go, because it was on
Yeah.
TV.
That's why.
Yeah, we were on Water Street for a little more than 10 years. And about 5 years ago, we got a pouring permit for the distillery. We had also started a small brewery operation separately. And we had to have physically separated tap rooms because they weren't owned by the same LLC.
Okay.
So in moving to Cottage Park, moved ownership of the brewery to the distillery, so they're both owned by the same entity, which is the requirement for the 19H, so that you could share a tap room. So you can come down to Cottage Park and have a hard seltzer, cocktail, or a beer.
Okay, because I knew this was a new application for the, I think it was for the state at this time.
Yeah.
It took a little longer for you, and that's why
Almost a year.
yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I knew. And could you just identify yourself for the record? So,
I'm Patras Apazonis Jr., the manager and owner and whatever else you want me to be.
okay.
Bottle washer, yeah.
So,
Anybody?
sir.
Mr. Mahoney?
Patras, so just out of curiosity, did you leave Water Street voluntarily? And what is going in the space that you're vacating? You don't have to answer
No,
it.
no. Water Street, the property was owned by Al Eddy, who is the guy who runs Habilitation, the access vans.
Okay.
And he owned that property together with his father-in-law and some other old timers that wanted out. So they sold the property, 10 Water Street, and I think it's either 11 or 9, the space across the street, to a developer, and I can't remember his name, but he wanted us to stay, but he didn't want to make any improvements or fixes until we signed another lease. And we kind of came to an impasse and decided that a change is for the better. So that's, so now we're in Cottage Park, we're next door to 1620. Parking's no longer an issue.
Okay.
Plenty of parking.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? At this time, I'd like to open it up. Is anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing and bring it back to the board for a motion. Moved by Mr. Mahoney, second by Mr. Bletzer. All those in favor, Mr. Bletzer?
Yes,
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Good luck. And thank you. Okay, we got additional licenses, the Holy Ghost, Mayflower Brewing Company, Veteran Services, Fresh Squeeze Craft and Scoop and Ice Cream, Dirty Water Distillery. Then we have a few permits, Holy Ghost Society, and there's 3 administrative notes. Any notes or concerns with anything I've mentioned? If not, we can move them all.
motion to move as a group.
Second?
Discussion? Motion by Mr. Bletzer, excuse me, second by Mr. Canty. Discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Bletzer?
Yes,
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes, unanimous. Moving on to Select Board, open discussion, new business. Mr. Helm?
I would just like to make a comment. I think that, didn't we? I thought we did,
Administrative notes.
didn't we just move those?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
That was part of the group.
We gotta back up a little bit. Number 2. I didn't realize we were doing that, so I'd like to, let's talk about number 2. The outdoor dining.
Okay, so, all right, hold on a second. Oh, I see what you're saying, number 2? Okay, I did mention it, but
You have to reconsider this, sorry.
we can reconsider. Let's do our new business stuff, and all right, then we'll go. All right, go ahead, Mr. Helm. No problem, Charlie.
Yeah, I would just, I mean, just an observation, and I don't know how the board wants to deal with this moving forward, but I do think that if we have a public hearing, and I'm not talking about licenses and administrative note, it's kind of disturbing to me, I don't know about anybody else, that this is like the second week in a row we have had people who are involved, businesses who are involved in a public hearing who do not come to the public hearing. And yet we vote to allow whatever they're asking for, with no ability to ask any questions or anything. And I think that in my mind, I think we should make a policy, and it's up to the chair and whoever else, that if you do not come to your public hearing, then it is deferred until the next meeting, or a time when you do decide to come to the public hearing. That's just how I feel.
Well, we had 3, and we had 2 people here, so
Yeah,
it's
oh,
really
yeah.
just the one that did it.
Yeah, just one. But last week, I believe, was it Ocho Cafe?
Oh, yeah.
Did not come to theirs, which,
Okay.
so that's just, I mean, and it's
Would you
not.
be okay if they were available by Zoom?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely, that's fine. But to just not show up kind of seems to me that getting something at a public hearing done by the board would be integral to the success of your business, and to just kind of not come, I think has, there should be ramifications, let me put it that way.
Okay.
Mr.
We'll-
Chairman.
We'll request that.
Harry, I 100% agree with what you're saying, and I voted on Dylan's just because I'm familiar with the operation, and that's why I was comfortable, but you're right, and when it's an operation we don't know about, we may have some questions. In fact, I might have had, I would like to be able to, last week, I had some questions last week, but I still voted and I shouldn't have. So I agree. Can we make that a policy, Derek? Have Lisa?
Yeah, with the pledge of the board, if you'd like, we can notify all the applicants that they must be present at the night of the hearing.
Or have a representative present? Like
Or
that.
via Zoom.
Yeah,
Zoom.
it's been happening a lot lately, and I don't think it was always like that, so.
Sure.
John, you can probably confirm that. Do you agree, the board agrees that somebody should be present? So I'll make a motion right now that when folks are coming before us for license permits, alteration of premises,
Anything that requires a public hearing?
I would say that I don't think we need a motion, but we understand the intention of the board. I prefer we stay away from motions on the new
Okay.
business,
Okay.
but I'm happy to relay the information. Clearly,
Okay.
everyone's nodding their head, and we can make that a policy.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else on the new business? Letters?
You get new business?
Okay. Mr. Blitzer?
I'd like to a request for the town manager. Is there any ARPA funds available? I walk the sidewalks in downtown Plymouth, and, I'm seeing a lot of trash in businesses, and I'm seeing the sidewalks could be cleaner. Is there any way we can get, if you could look into acquiring a machine that could go up and down the sidewalks early in the morning and clean those sidewalks. And then maybe we can talk to the business owners about making sure if they have to put trash in the front, put it somewhere where, the tourists, the residents don't have to walk by. I walked by Sunday and I saw trash. I'm not gonna mention the businesses, but it's there all the time. And also, I used to run a place on Main Street, and we always, at the end of the night, we swept out front. In the morning, it was either the cleaner or the day bartender swept the front. If you have access to a hose it. Keep it clean. We got to work together, but I think we could really set an example if we could acquire a machine and do that. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
I can tell you, I want to say it was approximately 2 months ago, the DPW, they had beta tested a machine that can clean the sidewalks. They didn't take it on Court Street, so I think if we were going to pursue that, we probably would want to bring it down to Court Street to see how well that would work. Certain areas of Court Street are very narrow, so we want to make sure we can use that. And this machine actually did have a power washer on it as well that we thought we could use to help clean up some of the graffiti. So that machine was approximately $110,000. But it's something that we can continue to pursue. Like I said, bring it down here one more time and see if it would actually work on Court Street.
I mean, we're a tourist town. Do we have ARPA funds available to do that?
We do have opera funds.
'Cause that would-
The
that's the
assistant town manager had met with the finance director just last week, and we're meeting
Oh,
I
that's
think,
good.
tomorrow to go through the opera funds. The intention is to bring a set of requests before the select board next Tuesday for the use of some of those opera funds.
So this is a good timing on this request.
That's right.
And it's exactly what ARPA funds are for, too. So. it's
Yeah,
one
no,
of-
we
one of-
can, we'll
one of the
definitely, we
uses.
can report. back.
Perfect, okay, great, thanks.
Anyone else under new business? Letters? Old business?
You want to take the motion to reconsider at this time? Sure. I'd make a motion to reconsider the group motion that was made to approve all the licenses, permits, and administrative notes as a group. I voted in the affirmative.
I'll second.
Second to reconsider. Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Blitzer. We need to do a vote on this, right? I am assuming. Mr. Blitzer?
Yes,
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Blitzer, you had a question? on-
yes, and number
All right.
2,
Yeah.
the outside, the outdoor dining, for the Anejo, I saw, I'm trying to find out where it is, but the package, I'm concerned with the tables on the sidewalk in that space. Here it is, right here. They have a patio already, so I don't really know what the need is to have that. If they're gonna do a parklet, I could see, but I don't see, first of all, I don't think they have takeout park, and I don't believe the PGDC allowed that for them. So I see tables on both sides of the sidewalk, and I just don't, it's gonna be, with staff working out there, it's gonna be too congested. I don't think it'll be ADA compliant, and I don't think it's necessary. They have that patio already, and I just think it's not gonna be ADA compliant. It's gonna be a problem. That sidewalk, I know last year, it was blocked off. It was basically blocked off. You couldn't even get through there. So people are walking dogs, they're going right through where food's being served, and so I don't think it's necessary, so I'm not in favor of that.
Mr. Helm?
I have to agree with Mr. Blitzer, and I apologize for not picking up that this was in the notes that we needed to work on, because my experience on the outdoor dining and the reasons for moving to the outdoor dining program that we have from the original outdoor dining that was very expedient during the COVID, during the very beginning of COVID. One of the areas that was problematic was San Diego's, and it was their use of the sidewalk space. It was problematic for the residents and pedestrians. The way that it is set up here, you really can't help but, unless you're eating there, feel like you're walking through people's burritos. I mean, really, it really does feel like that. And, I mean, I think if they're serious about wanting some sidewalk space, they should come back with an adjusted drawing where it's only on one side and gives much more room and free flow through, because this thing of tables on either side where people get to have to walk through the middle just doesn't work.
Anthony?
Mr. Chairman, we have someone by the name of James that would like to speak. James, you can unmute yourself.
I'm the owner of an AO Mexican bistro that's going to be taking over the property at, we were in front of you last week, and I apologize, it didn't come up in our liquor license hearing, but the existing patio in the front of the restaurant is more than adequate for our needs, so the parking spots were, I think they were applied for because they had existing permission to use them, but we don't intend to use them.
What about the sidewalk? You don't need it?
We do not.
Okay.
James, thank you very much, and again, as I said last week, I wish you luck. You got a great reputation down the Cape, and I hope you can keep going up there, so I want to welcome you. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to you bringing a crisp to Plymouth.
I appreciate the kind words. We're looking forward to it as well.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so I have to ask this question. Are there any other restaurants down there that are using the sidewalks, or what's the policy going forward? I mean,
So the board previously approved KKD's back in February or March, and their plan did include outdoor dining spaces that were in the sidewalk. So the board has previously approved KKD's for outdoor. Now, if that's something the board wants to change going forward, like you just were gonna make tonight, that was a decision you were gonna make, we'd have to do that next year.
But I think if you look at the delineation of use of the sidewalk, it's one side. It's not like in this case, which they're not going to do, which is both sides. So I don't think you're
That's
gonna-
correct. You're
Yeah,
correct.
you're not gonna find any restaurant that's causing pedestrians to walk through the middle of people's meals. So we were very specific about that on the outdoor dining, and it's carried forward. What happens next year is a whole other matter. So.
And, Mr. Chairman, and in the meantime, I don't know whose job it is to enforce, but I was down there Sunday, and there was a couple of small tables with a sign, which was, I'm not going to say which business it was, but it wasn't, I know that wasn't ADA compliant. So I had no problem with the two little tables, but the sign was, people couldn't, I mean, if somebody was in a wheelchair, it would have been tough getting through. So, I think we got to be consistent in what we're doing. So I'm not sure who's tasked with that assignment. But I'm pro-business, and I just want to say that the reason why I want to make the sidewalks as inviting as possible is because we're responsible for all businesses, not just bars and restaurants, which I want to help all the bars and restaurants, but there's retail businesses that need the sidewalk business. People come and walk in and looking in the stores and shopping, so we got to make sure we keep those sidewalks clear for all the businesses. Thank you.
Agreed with all points made. I think what would be helpful on our end, and maybe we do this after the summer season, or all the parklets, the approvals have been issued. Sounds like all the sidewalk dining approvals have been issued at this point. But we have a number of restaurants that are using the sidewalk for different purposes. Some of them have tableside dining, like San Diego's did last year, on the sidewalk, service at the table. And then there's other places that just use tables and chairs for takeout. And so, and then we have the parklets. So it would be important for us to get to work with the board and get some clearer guidance of what's gonna be the policy moving forward. Are we going to allow for tables and chairs for takeout? And not allow it for table service dining? So those are the things I think we're gonna have to work through for next summer.
Well, I said it when we started with COVID and we went outside and we had the outdoor dining, that the day would come, and to remind everybody, it was because of COVID that we had dining in the street and dining on the sidewalks. And so, we'll take it up for next year as a board, but I'm going to be I'm going to be very honest. I'm not going to support sidewalk dining when they have the opportunity to use a parklet. I mean, that's, in other words, they want the free table, but they don't want to pay for the parklet. I mean, I'll call it like I see it. That's what I see. And, COVID is over at the moment, or winding down. So that's just me. I think that go to the parklets, but we'll put it on as a docket item and go over it when the time comes, I hope. Mr. Helm?
Mr. Quindle, I'm in total agreement with putting it on as a docket item. As the select board liaison and somebody who helped create the outdoor dining committee, I do feel it is time that the board examine that. It was created at a time of need and expediency to blend the need and expediency with an outdoor dining concept that we could all be proud of. So I think we are transitioning to something else, to a different time. So I would be in total agreement and support of bringing that up as a discussion item and how to move forward.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Blitzer?
One last thing for me on that is when I was out, John, I'm going to give a history lesson, like I'm taking a page out of your book. When I was on the PGDC, when this first started, we actually donated the parklets because we're tasked with those. Those are parking spaces that PGDC is responsible for. And we sent a letter that the second year, when the parklets came to fruition, Tatum Stewart was really the big motivator for that. And we had sent a letter to the town manager at the time, it wasn't you, Derek, saying that we're in full support of the parklets. We don't have a problem, but we were adamant about having no tables on the sidewalk. And the letter said that we had talked to all the businesses, the retail, that's when the two-way, one-way stuff was going on too. And so the PGDC, the letter said that we have no problem giving parking spaces, but we don't want the sidewalks to be anything tables on the sidewalks, because the businesses, the retail businesses, were not happy with that. They wanted the sidewalks to stay free and clear. There was no problem with the parking spaces, so.
I agree, but all I'm saying is that there's a third factor in this. There's tables and chairs that are on the sidewalk that food establishments use for takeout. And so that's the X factor I don't think anybody's ever talked about. There's a number of food
Right, so-
establishments that have tables and chairs on the sidewalk that people go in, they grab a sandwich, they grab a dessert, and they go sit it on the sidewalk.
So as you said, we need a policy.
Exactly.
So a question for you, Derek. Are those restaurants also involved in the parklet outdoor dining concept?
No.
They are not. That's what I had a feeling. So I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so I guess, Derek, if you could please talk it out with Lisa and see what kind of time frame, so we can take this up as a board, have a docket item, and give Lisa time, so when the new renewal, whatever it is.
Sure,
All right?
thank you.
Good? Okay, so we need, I can't remember now if we voted on two again or not.
No, we need a motion
Okay.
for,
I didn't
I
think so.
would make a motion that we approve the licenses, permits, and administrative notes 1 and 3 as one group.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Blitzer. Discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And myself, yes, unanimous.
And as far as number 2, I would make a motion that, per the owner, what he just said to us, that we will approve outdoor dining in his patio, his outside patio, which I don't even think we have to approve. We don't have to do that, so we don't need a motion. There's no,
Move to strike number 2.
strike number 2, per the information the Jim gave us, the owner, that he's not going to use the sidewalks or parking spaces.
I think we should make a motion and then just vote against it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But we should make, motions are made in the affirmative, so we should still make the motion to approve and then just vote against it.
You're the motion guy, go ahead. All right. Just follow your lead.
That's why they named you Charlie.
I've never been a chairman, so go ahead.
Feel that?
I make a motion that we approve Administrative Note 2.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Canty, second by Mr. Helm. Mr. Bletzer?
No.
Mr. Helm?
No.
Mr. Canty?
No.
Mr. Mahoney?
No.
And myself, no. All righty. Now, do we have any more old business? Okay, I'd like to adjourn the open session, and then we're going to go into executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bletzer, second by Mr. Helm. All those in favor, Mr. Bletzer?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
And Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you for watching. Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you next week.